Will my kids have better opportunities abroad than in the UK? My name is Richard. My family and I are leaving the UK to potentially find a better life abroad in the sun. Before we get into that, I'll give you an update of where we are. Now, it's all quite amusing, really, because we're not really any further forward, and it's been weeks. There has been one slight update. We have signed the house contract. There's a little bit of a story behind that as well. So we went to the solicitors and we signed the paperwork, and then we left. And then we're in a fruit and veg shop down the road, and we got a phone call saying, "Ooh, are you still here?" And we were like, "Yes, why?" And they said, "Oh, we've given you the wrong contract. They've changed something on it, so you need to come back and sign a new one." We're like, "Right, we're only 2 minutes down the road, so we'll come and do that then." So nothing in this process appears to be easy. It's always getting sort of comical, the things that are happening. You sign and think, "Yes, we've signed," and then it's like, you have to sign again. Oh well. What can you do? So that's where we are. We're still waiting for a date. Now, what we're waiting for, our house is being bought by a couple. One of the people of that couple are going through a divorce. Well, they are divorced, and they're waiting for a payout from the house. It's amicable. It's all good. We're literally just waiting for a transfer of funds from that divorce. But because it's nothing to do with our solicitors, it's nothing to do with our chain, we're not really allowed to ask, or they won't divulge any information to our solicitors because it's nothing to do with the chain. All it does is start the whole thing off so we can all move. So we've really struggled. We can't seem to get any kind of dates. So I keep getting comments saying, "You don't really have a plan. I'm quite worried. What are you doing?" And the answer to that is, I don't know, because I can't plan anything. We can't plan flights, visas, digital ID things you have to fill out for the country you're going to. I can't do any of these things. We can't book plane tickets. We can't do anything because we have no date. We haven't had a date all the way through, and it's driving us nuts. We've been pushing, and the other people in the chain have been pushing to find out this information. So are we going to leave before Christmas now? I don't know. We're really running out of time to get everything we need to do sorted out before we can actually get on that plane and fly away. I'm not sure there's even any time to do all that now. So that's where we're at. So it may be after Christmas, it may be January, bearing in mind the flights are going to be a lot cheaper at that point. So we're still up in the air. We have plans. We've got plans upon plans, but we can't do anything with them because we haven't got any dates. When that happens, I'll let you know. So, back to my kids. Do I think they're going to get more opportunities abroad? Now, my short answer is yes. Yes, I do think they will. And one of the things that kind of set off this video is I was in the cinema with them the other day, and an advert came on. I was like, this film's for quite young kids. And they've got adverts for training, like technical training, like working on submarines and with robots and all these clever things for probably people that are coming out of school. Maybe they want to do that, or well, I suppose it's for anybody that wants to retrain. And it got me thinking about the job market, because I've seen loads of posts recently about people saying, "Oh, I've just been made redundant. I just can't find another job." Any kind of technical jobs. And we had a friend round a couple of days ago. They knew a young girl that had done physio. It's easy to get a job with physio, isn't it? Yeah, you can do a course in physio. Go and get a job. No, you can go and do a course and you can get a pass with flying colours. But are there any jobs there to actually apply for? Maybe one or two in the UK. There's very few. And this has always been my problem with universities, and everybody should be trained, highly trained. There isn't actually that many jobs available, and everyone's after them. And this is exactly what's happened nowadays. There's a hell of a lot of applicants per job now because everyone's got good qualifications. So how do you stand out in today's society of people? If you want to go for a 9-to-5 kind of job, what do you have to do? Well, you probably have to stand out nowadays. So if my eldest wanted to go for a job in the UK when she's older, and on her CV it had it had homeschooled or home educated as we call it, and it had a list of all the things she'd achieved. She'd done world travel, she'd swum with dolphins, worked for as a volunteer for helping turtles. There's a lot of opportunities that are open around the world that you won't get in the UK. So that person will stand out, and they'll be like, to be honest, should we just interview them, because they seem like they've got some brains. And this is the issue I've got between homeschooling and schooled kids. Schooled kids are taught to regurgitate information. They're not taught to think for themselves. With homeschooling, we teach for them to ask as many questions as they can, learn from experience, and learn life skills, which schools don't teach. So we're talking about things that generations of people have forgotten or they don't know how to do, like mechanics. I'm going to teach my girls mechanics, how to fix cars, what do you do if you've got a flat tyre, even basic mechanics people can't seem to do anymore. Home DIY, all kinds of things, repairing everything, because that's what I do. I could renovate a house quite happily just through doing. That's brilliant skills for the future, because renovating houses is quite expensive. So there's lots of different skills I can teach my kids while we travel. We're going to experience other cultures, how they live, different foods, learn how they cook their food compared to how we cook our food. Where does our food come from? Bananas growing on trees, for example, because most people think they come from the supermarket. A lot of inner city kids, unfortunately, have never seen a cow. They don't know where milk comes from. If you ask they get asked, where does milk come from? And they'll say, oh, it comes from a bottle, or it comes from the shop. They have no idea it comes from an animal. That's worrying. So I want my kids to be well-rounded, have really good general knowledge. So if they do want to go for a job, they can be adaptable, because nobody anymore stays in the same job for very long, and they don't even do the job they went for. They'll do 2 or 3 other people's jobs at the same time now. That's just the way of it now, isn't it? So what about me? How have I got jobs in the past? Well, my job history is very odd. The jobs I've done are tree surgery, self-employed, and actually self-employed the entire time, even though I was working for somebody else. Did that for like 10 years. I've worked in hydraulics, pneumatics. So I learned that from scratch. I've worked in forestry, which is my passion, as I'm a forwarder driver, which is a machine that picks up wood you drive into the wood, pick up the wood the harvester's cut, put it out, bring it to roadside. And I also learned mechanics from having Land Rovers, and I'm also rebuilding big forestry machinery. All of these things. I've also worked in peat bog restoration, where you re-wet areas for carbon storage. So I've done all kinds of strange jobs, and was I trained in most of them? No. But what people saw was adaptability and my willing to learn. And every job I've been to, I've ended up doing several different roles in that industry, because they can see I'm quite capable, and I learn really quickly. And when I learn, I want to be the best at it, so I put a lot of effort into it. So that's the way I think you need to be. You need to be adaptable. You need to think for yourselves. You need to have a good general knowledge. And travelling around the world is going to give you that, rather than being sat in a classroom. I think that's going to be fantastic for them. They're really looking forward to it, and I'm really looking forward to it. So, overall, what is world schooling going to give our kids? Well, it's going to give them confidence. It's going to give them an idea that there is something more than the UK. There's a big world out there with lots of opportunities in it. Unless you go and look for them, you're never going to know. It's going to teach them that they need a broad range of skills in order to survive. They're going to know life skills, cooking, investments, how to build a business so you don't have to work for somebody else. That's a very important skill. Budgeting. How do I live in a society where everything's incredibly expensive? So, why do schools not teach this stuff? I don't know. Let me know in the comments why you think they don't teach these things. Do they want a class of almost drone-like people where they can put them into jobs and they just stay and do that all the time and just happily work away so they can make money out of them? I don't know. Do they want that? I don't know. Again, let me know that in the comments, because I don't want to be one of these people. I want to live my life. I want to spend time with my kids and family. And this world schooling journey that we're going on is going to give us that. So back to the original question. Will my kids have more opportunities abroad? I think it's undoubtedly yes. But that's just my opinion. You may have a different opinion. Everyone has an opinion. We're all allowed to have one. So if you disagree, let me know. If you agree, let me know. If you have a completely different opinion, let me know again. Because no one's right, no one's wrong.